Let's start talking about automation, starting with the AWS command line interface. Automation is really important to save you time so you don't have to click and drag through elements in the AWS console. And also when you're going more professional and having to manage several different systems and environments, that comes in very useful. So in this video, we're going to get started with the Amazon CLI, the command line interface, and how to deploy our static website with that. So let's go. So here in the AWS CLI page, awsamazon.com/CLI, you can find all the information about the tool and how to get started. We're going to go and do this step by step. And on your computer, you probably want to go ahead and install for Linux, macOS, or Windows according to your preference, or using DevBox or other tools to install the AWS command line interface. And on my VS Code, we can go to the terminal here on terminal, new terminal, and that's where the AWS command line interface and all the command lines can be used. So the command line is, again, to help automate tasks. So we save time and make things repeatable, testable, and so on. The AWS CLI is just AWS. I have it installed here already, and it will ask you for the subcommands. So there are subcommands for S3, for EC2, for all the services we may need. So, for example, if I want to list all the buckets in my account, I can type AWS S3 ls, and this will be the list command for the S3 service on AWS, and I have nothing there, so nothing will be returned now. And let's get started with the configuration of this, because if this is the first time, and I expect for most of you that's the case, we may need to do the command AWS configure to set up credentials. There's other ways to set up credentials. We're gonna see them in future videos. For now, we're gonna use access keys. And I already have one set up, but let me show you how to get a new one if you need. So I'll go to my AWS account, and IAM, Identity and Access Management, is the service responsible for that and all the security of your AWS account, basically. Well, not all of it, but it's a key service for authentication and authorization. So I'll go to IAM users, and here I will create a new one. Let's call it Julio CLI. And on next, we can add the user to a group to have permissions, copy permissions from another one, or attach policies directly. I'll give this user administrator access, but you can choose or compose the policy that would be better for you. And again, we're going to see in future videos how to compose and write IAM policies, but for now, I'll just go with administrator access and create the user. This is going to allow the user to do basically anything. Here on security credentials, we can create access key. So here's the create access key for the command line interface. And there are alternatives like the AWS login and other commands, but in many scenarios, you're going to use access keys. Many companies use that. So let's get started with access keys. And I'll just create it. And here we're going to have the pair of an access key and a secret key. I'll copy this and paste where the command line asked. Same thing for the secret access key. And that's it. Next, the region we want to use by default. I'll get US East, and the default output format, which can be JSON, text, or table. And Now we can do commands such as AWS STS get caller identity. That's the command to show you who you are on the AWS CLI. So I'm authenticated correctly with the Julio CLI command that I just created. So that's how you set up the AWS CLI. And we can execute it like this, command by command, or group it in a shell script. So here I have a deploy sh shell script, which is going to deploy my static website, the one we just built on AWS. So here with the AWS STS get caller identity, we just use it. However, I want to query the object. So instead of returning everything like this, I want just the account. So this is what query means. I want just this field of the object. So here's what it is. And this is in JSON format, so it's quoted. I'll use output text just to get it unquoted in plain text. So this will give me my account ID, which I'm setting to a variable named account ID. The bucket name I'm going to create will contain that account ID just to make sure I don't clash with another bucket in another account. Region, I'm going to get with AWS configure get region, will give me US West 1, the region I had configured. This is the command to get the directory where the script is, so not the current directory I'm in. So I'm in this dir, I'm talking this one inside the static website simple bash. And from there, I can find where the hello website is, which is this content that I want to deploy. Then with the AWS S3 head bucket operation, I can check if a bucket exists or not. So if it already exists, I'll go ahead with deployment, or else I'll use the create bucket S3 API to create a bucket with the name I want. Enable static website hosting, just like we did on the console, but now automatically for the AWS CLI. And then allow public read access. So this is going to let objects be public. Remember, we did an acknowledgement on the console because public objects are denied by default. So I'm explicitly acknowledging that I know what I'm doing. I'm serving a website, and that's what I want to do. And in the previous example, we set permissions individually. Now we're going to just create a policy here, a put bucket policy. That's going to say that every object in this bucket is public. So resources in AWS are identified by Amazon Resource Names, or ARNs, and this is the ARN for an S3 bucket. Shorter version, we can have more fields here, but we're going to have just the resource name, which is the bucket name / meaning all the objects within this bucket. And I will allow any principal to get object on that specific object. So that's how we make it public, make it a public website. And then I will use the AWS S3 sync command to synchronize what I have in the content directory, meaning the cat picture and the HTML file, to the bucket with the given name, and delete the difference. So if there's some old file or something like that, it can be deleted. And then just print the website address. So I'll go right ahead and copy this relative path and paste it just to execute this script line by line. We're gonna see it's creating the bucket because none existed. Set it as a static website, allow the read and update. And now the website is deployed. I can just click this to follow the link. And there it is, our public website, exactly as we built it. And here it's a simple website, but you can feel free to go and create a website as complex as you need. And when you're done, don't forget that all of this has costs. So in our repository, I also added the destroy script, and I'm always going to do that. And the destroy script is going to empty the bucket, remove all the objects inside, and then delete the bucket. So we don't waste any money. So when I'm done, I'm going to destroy it. And in a minute, it should be gone. Yeah, so right now, if I refresh this, it's not there anymore. And this is it. That's how you set up AWS command line interface for your projects. In future videos, we're going to see how to go further and implement more complex scenarios. See you in the next one.